morning, everyone, and welcome back to today's session on soft skills. It's all about idioms, phrases, and proverbs. I'm K. Shailaja Rao, soft skill trainer, and today I'm going to speak about something which all of you are aware of. If I say, in front there's Crocodile Festival, I'm sure all of you understand that, right? It's from a dialogue from a very famous movie of Chiranjeevi, right? But it's actually a very crude translation of a Telugu idiom or a proverb into English. So what happens is, idioms and proverbs are actually essentially enhance the language they are spoken in. In Telugu, we have so many proverbs like Mundundi Musalla Pandaga. That's the actual translation of what we saw. In front, there is Crocodile Festival. But when you say it in English, it sounds very funny and doesn't make sense at all. But the idioms and the proverbs actually enhance the language. Instead of saying that you're going to face the consequences of something later, that's what this proverb means in Telugu. So instead of saying all that, you just say a proverb. So the person who's listening to you understands that. Similarly, even in English, there are phrases and idioms and proverbs which actually enhance the quality of the language. They enhance they have become part of the English language. Some have been added, some have been coming from different sources, some have been there for a long time, some are more recently added. So idioms and phrases, actually, if you learn about them and if you can speak them, or when you're speaking or when you're writing, it actually makes you look like a very good speaker. So it's actually, we should know the meanings and of these idioms and phrases. I believe there are about 25,000 or more idioms and phrases in idioms and proverbs in English alone. So it's very difficult to know all of them, but there are a few which are said again and again and again. So you probably will, understand when somebody says, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It actually sort of gives you the meaning. If you put all your eggs in one basket, and if you drop that basket, then all your eggs are destroyed, right? So literally also it makes sense, right? It's a proverb which tells you that don't put all your ideas or all your money or all your effort into one task or one project or one. So that if something goes wrong, you might lose everything. So these are, we also heard two birds with one stone. So it also means where you can get two things done with just one simple effort or simple task. So these are all idioms. And when they are spoken, they make the language very flowery and good to hear, and they give you a different, you imagine something. So it makes it all the more interesting when you speak in idioms and phrases. So let's look at these three. What are phrases, what are idioms, and what are proverbs? So, what is a phrase? It's just a group of related words. It does not create a sentence. If I say a simple thing like, taken aback. I was taken aback when he said something. So what does taken aback mean? Or take aback mean? Means I was surprised, or I was jolted, or I didn't know this was coming. So taken aback means that you were surprised. Or similarly with take, you have so many. Like what is the takeaway from this lesson? Takeaway. What's the takeaway? We all know the takeaways that we have in, for fast foods. That's a takeaway joint. But in English, when you say a takeaway, is what is your learning from that? A takeaway from that lesson means what is your learning from that lesson. So the word takeaway means that. Similarly, in English, there are so many phrases which mean different things. Let's look at some of them. Okay, so what is a phrase? Basically, we just understood that it's just a group of related words. What happens is, so what is a phrase? It's a group of related words which does not contain a verb or a subject. It's just a group of words which do not give you the whole meaning. It's not a sentence. It's just a group of words. For example, has been invited. You don't know who has been invited, you don't know where has been invited, so you only have the group of words says has been invited. Or after school. After school, it is a prepositional phrase where something that's going to happen after the school is over. So you don't know what after school, where after school, who after school. So there is no verb and there is no subject. And to do homework. So these are called phrases where you do not actually get the whole meaning from them. So these are called phrases. So when we talk about phrases, any group of words could be a phrase. But some phrases have become so well known that when you utter those phrases, they have a different meaning altogether. So let's look at some with the word break. Okay? When we say break bread, what do we mean? You do not mean breaking the bread. Phrases do not go by the literal meaning of the words. When they are together, they mean something else other than what they literally mean. So breaking bread is actually dining together. In the earlier, every phrase, or most of them, have some background, have some history. So breaking bread, in the olden days, they used to have these long loaves of bread. If you've seen any of those old Michelangelo paintings or Da Vinci paintings, you will see, there's a table and then they have these long loaves of bread. So how did people eat? They broke the bread in half. So since then, whenever you say breaking bread or break bread, it means eating together, dining together. So the literal meaning of breaking bread is not just breaking, but eating together is called breaking bread. Similarly, break a code. Most of these are CBI and all. What do they try to do to catch the criminals? They try to break their codes. Most of the terrorist groups and all, they speak in some code language. They don't go by they don't even send emails or anything by in the literal language, be it English or Arabic or whatever language they use. But they have a code. So breaking that code is also important to learn what their illegal or unlawful activities are. So to break a code means to figure out a communication system which has been using through a code. The computer also uses a code. So not all of us can break the computer code, right? Most people who try to do some mischief, they break the code. Break a law. Break a law means you don't break the law, you do something illegal. Breaking the law is doing something illegal. Break a leg. What does break a leg mean? Break a leg does not mean break your actual leg. It actually means do something very well. Again, the history to this is also says that when somebody was first going out to a performance on stage, they were asked to break a leg in the sense that go and dance so well that you almost break a leg. So since then, this phrase has stuck with saying, which means doing something very well. If I'm going to an interview and say, hey, I'm going to an interview, and somebody says, yeah, go there and break a leg. It doesn't mean go break my leg or break somebody else's leg. It means do it very well. So performing, it's also a synonym for good luck. Especially in America, if you tell them you're going for an exam, yeah, go break a leg. That's actually a way of wishing you good luck. So it does not mean go and break your leg. Break a habit. We know this. We've heard this many a time. Break a habit is to stop doing something you have regularly doing. To break the smoking habit is very difficult. Or, so break a habit, break your habit of getting up late or watching too much television. That's a habit. To break it is to stop doing something, but something that you've been doing regularly. Break a story. We have actually on television, whenever something happens, whether it's on TV9 or wherever, they say breaking news, breaking news. Do you think news is breaking? It's not breaking news. It's actually break a story. Breaking news is when you tell it for the first time. When you break a news, you're actually telling that news to whoever it is for the first time. So break a story also means that. It's very common among journalists, among where you're actually bringing it out into the open for the very first time. Breakaway. I think we use this a lot when we see two friends. I think they've broken up, girl and boy maybe. I think they've broken up. Broken up, they're not in pieces, but they have just separated or not talking to each other. Sir, iదేమైంది? Back. Okay, 1 second. I didn't even touch it. Go back. So, break away, separate from someone, break one's back. It's it's like, when you say, I'll give you a sentence and then you'll understand it better. Yesterday we moved house and it was a breaking experience. Or that means we shifted from one house to the another and it was a back-breaking experience. What it means is, it was literally very, very difficult to do, very tedious. It takes a great deal of effort. So, break off. You break off with someone is, you stop talking to them. Break open. The thieves broke open the door, or broke open the window to get in, to enter. Broke open is to forcibly get in. Okay? To break out in tears. Somebody broke out in tears all of a sudden. So when she was asked to talk about herself, she broke out in tears due to nervousness. Break out in tears means suddenly start crying. So break out, actually the word break is used differently in different, when it comes with different other words. Oh, I see. So we have a mischievous fly here, which is, see how delicate these boards are? Even a fly, touch of a fly is changing the... So when I touch it, it doesn't work. I have to hit it hard. But a fly falls on it, it's changing. So it's really amazing what technology can do for you. And at the same time, what something that technology, something like a fly or a mosquito can disrupt that technology. So nature has its own ways of, doing things. So now, phrases with take. When we say, we saw some phrases with break, now we'll look at take. As I was telling you, take aback, surprise, shock, or discomfort. In the sense that I can say, I was taken aback when I heard that her uncle had died. Or I was taken aback when I heard that the mall had closed down. So generally you're taken aback with shock or grief or whatever, surprise when something drastic happens. Now, the bad news took us aback. Take after. When you take after something, it does not mean you take after means you run after or something. It actually means when you take after somebody, it means you are genetically, you've got some characteristics or features of someone. Generally, he takes after his mother or she takes after her mother. Means she probably looks like her mother. Sometimes we say it for physical looks. Sometimes we, your mother can say, tell that to you. If you're being very adamant or something, she might say, oh, you take off your father in that. So it's the characteristic which is being compared. So when somebody says take after, it's somebody sort of an inheritance you get from your elders or older people, your parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts and all. When this is you take after somebody, it means you either act like them or you either look like them. Okay, takeaway. So takeaway is generally what is the impression or the learning that you take away from something. So like I told you, takeaway is not the takeaways that you take from a fast food restaurant. That's just an Indian thing going on. It's a takeaway restaurant. So takeaway here actually, takeaway is said mostly in India. If you go abroad and say takeaway, they'll be very confused. So takeaway means a learning, an impression, a lesson that you've got from somewhere. So I took away the impression that the play was under-rehearsed. So I imagined or I got the impression that the play was not properly rehearsed. And takeaway, meaning someone leave or place and go somewhere else. Okay? Takeaway is taken away. So when somebody leaves and goes somewhere else also, it means a takeaway. So the next slide. Yeah. So now let's go to idioms. So we've seen phrases, how they work. There are so many phrases with everything. Call. Suppose you take call. Call upon. When you call upon someone, it's not you call them. Don't say hi. You actually go and visit them. Okay, call back. He was called back from duty. That is when you are asked to report back from duty. Okay. So there are so many phrases that are used literally. Mostly the meaning can be understood, but sometimes it's very different from the actual words. Then idioms. Idioms are also a group of phrases that mean more than their words put together. If you take them word for word, you'll never understand an idiom. Like, like I said, even in Telugu, if you put word for word, some idioms are easy to understand, but some are very difficult in the sense what they say and what they mean are two different things. So if I say it's raining cats and dogs, it does not mean that cats and dogs are falling from the ceiling or from the sky. It means it's raining very heavily. Why this came about, I'll tell you a little while later. So, now I've just taken a few idioms and seen where they come from to just give you an idea of how idioms actually originated. Some of them have some history, they go back to a long time. Some of them are more recent, but I've taken 4 or 5 idioms and I've done some research and picked out why they started that idiom. So most idioms have some root or some history why they have been introduced in the English language. So actually, the white elephant, when we say a white elephant, what do we mean? Not that it's a white elephant. A white elephant, if you say that the servant at in my house is a white elephant, it does not mean that she's white or she's fat. It actually means that it's very expensive to keep her, or it takes a lot of amount of resources to actually keep her at home. So, or sometimes, this is used even in the business that, some businesses are like white elephants. Maybe a good example for this would be the Nano. Actually, the Nano car was not very successful, but Ratan Tata wanted to keep it because it was a prestigious thing. A car which was made possible below $200 or, was something which had not been done in the past or not easy to replicate in the future. So it was sort of a prestige issue, and though it was a white elephant, that means it was eating into taking in a lot of resources and not giving the same amount of profits, or it was actually making a lot of losses. So when you say a white elephant, is actually something that's making a lot of loss or something that's taking in a lot of resources. So how did this come about? This idiom was probably, they say, that the king of Spain used to give actual white elephants to people who he wanted to punish. Imagine that. You give a gift to a person you want to punish. Well, I believe the king of Siam used to do that, which is now in Thailand, of course. So the white elephants are actually very rare, right? Have you seen a white elephant? Probably not. They're very rare breed, and very expensive and very respected. But then you need a lot of money to take care of a white elephant. You can't let it die because it's a rare breed, and probably the king will ask how your elephant is. So you had to keep feeding it, and you had to keep it happy and healthy and alive. And then for that, you would probably be ruined financially. If you're not a well-to-do person, you probably would be ruined. So now the same thing is applied to something that elephant is meant for, something that is useless gift or something that is too expensive to maintain. It's called a white elephant. See how this, the act of one king, how it changed into an idiom. Next. So, once in a blue moon. I think this is something all of you have heard. Once in a blue moon. Hey, you don't come to my house often. You come once in a blue moon. You say that to your friends all the time, right? So, this is a once in a blue moon thing. We don't get a break of unexpected holiday. It happens only once in a blue moon. So, these are once in a blue moon. So, what does once in a blue moon mean? By these sentences, I'm sure you would have understood that once in a blue moon means very rarely. Not very often, very, very rarely. So, how did this come about? This is actually a fact. Actually, the blue moon comes once in every 2.7 years. See, almost nearly 3 years. It comes only once in 3 years. And how does it happen? Because of volcanic eruptions and forest fire, the oils and smoke can make the moon appear blue, according to NASA. So it's referring to the second full moon in the same month. Very rarely, that is, I think last year we had this, that we had 2 full moons. Generally, you have only 1 full moon in a month. But sometimes, every 2.5 years, nearly 2.5 years, the full moon comes twice in a month. So it happens very rarely. 2 full moons in a month is a rare occurrence. And why do they say blue? They say it because sometimes the moon appears blue because of all these things. So once in a blue moon came to mean something that happens very rarely. Next. Let the cat out of the bag. So, when you say let the cat out of the bag, or what you mean is, please, I've told you something, please don't let the cat out of the bag yet. It's a secret. So what we mean is, do not give the secret away. Don't let the cat out of the bag means do not tell my secret to anyone. Do not give out the secret to anyone. So letting the cat out of the bag is letting go of the secret. So I could say, don't tell this to Chandani. She's not very good at, or she could let the cat out of the bag because she just can't keep quiet. What it means is, she's a person who's very talkative. So if you tell her the secret, she's going to let the cat out of the bag. So letting the cat out of the bag means telling somebody's secret to everybody else. So how did this come about? How did this idiom come about? Actually, I believe in the olden times, in the medieval Europe, what they used to do is, they used to sell piglets tied in bags for farmers to carry home. That is, they used to have actually piglets, and they would exchange these piglets for something they wanted to buy. So when they wanted to buy these piglets, they would use these piglets to buy something. But sometimes what they did is they used to carry them in a bag. What they used to do is, some people, they would actually put a cat in the bag instead of a piglet. Piglet is more expensive, cat is cheaper. So they would put a cat and exchange it for something. So actually what they're doing is trying to secretly exchange a cat for piglet, or instead of a piglet. So when sometimes this cat, if just peeped out of the bag, their secret was out. So that's what it means when you let the cat out of the bag, you're exposing the con to everyone. So when you you open the bag and you see a cat instead of a piglet, that means now everybody knows that he was trying to cheat or he had some secret. So that's what it means, letting the cat out of the bag. Next. Under the weather. Okay. This idiom, I don't think I'll come to college today. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. So under the weather, I'm sure you would have understood. I'll give you another sentence. Lately, because of COVID, Ram is not coming to college. He is a little under the weather. That means he is not coming to college because of COVID. He's a little sick or he's sick. So under the weather means when somebody is ill or sick, they are supposed to be under the weather. So it's nothing to do with being under or the weather. It actually means being sick. How did this come about? It came about because in the olden days when people used to travel by ships from places, business people, they used to trade. Trade was only done through ships. They used to go on ships and travel was on ships. And sometimes when on ships, actually you feel a lot seasick, right? You feel sick because of that seasickness or motion sickness, whatever. When somebody had this, they would, instead of being on the boat, generally the rooms of small boats were under the floor. So when they were feeling sick, they used to go under the ship and lie down or take a rest. So whenever you were under the weather, it meant that you were sick. So to avoid getting seasick, the waves got rough. They'd bunker down in their cabins which were under the deck, under the boards. Okay? So literally under that bad weather to let the storm pass. That's why the phrase under the weather came about. Next. So phrases and idioms are all part of the language and structure and can be factual expressions, and they should not be taken factually, only metaphorically. And they enrich the descriptions. Instead of saying that, he is sick, if you say, hey, I think she let the cat out of the bag, means she's actually told the secret to everyone. There are about 25,000, Wikipedia states that there are about 25,000 idioms in the English language. Did you know that? You know about 2,500 and you think you know them all. But then there are about 25,000 idioms. It's not possible to know them all, but when you hear something, it's always good to try and go back and see what it means, so that next when you encounter it, you understand what is being said, or in future, you could always say the same thing and look good as a very good speaker of English. Next. So some more idioms. It's raining cats and dogs. It means it's raining very hard. This also actually has a story. In cold places, when poor people, when they keep pets, sheep and cats and dogs, and suppose in England and in places like this where it's very cold in the night, they can't leave their cattle or the sheep or cats and dogs out in the night. So what they do is actually they live in a room or something, just have a small place to live in with their kids. So they can't actually afford to have another room for these cats and dogs or pets or the domesticated animals. What they would do is they would have a sort of a wooden ceiling, like an attic on top of their heads, and at night they would send all these animals up into the attic so that they would keep warm. And because they are all there, these people downstairs or under the attic would also feel warm. So this was general practice for small shepherds or farmers. They used to keep their cattle on top of their attic. So, but when it rained, especially when it rained, these were thatched huts or roofs, a lot of water came into these attics, and then these cats and dogs would slip and fall. They would start falling. It's only then that the persons who are sleeping underneath would understand that it's raining heavily outside. So when somebody said it's raining cats and dogs, probably those cats and dogs used to slip and fall. because the rain was so heavy that it seeped into the attic and made it very slippery. So raining cats and dogs probably came from there. So when you say it's raining cats and dogs, it means it's raining very heavily. Over the moon, like we once in a blue moon. Again, moon also, is a word is used in so many idioms. He was over the moon, or Laura was over the moon when she won the race. Or somebody, Sujata was over the moon when she got engaged. Or she was over the moon when she got a first rank. Over the moon means being very happy. Okay? And get off on the wrong foot. Get off on the wrong foot means to actually have a misunderstanding with someone in the beginning. Sometimes when two friends meet for the first time or two strangers meet for the first time, you could get off, not be very good friends because you said something and they took exception to it, but later they became friends. So when you get off on the wrong foot, actually there's been a misunderstanding and you probably do not understand each other. So I don't want to get on the wrong foot with my boss. That means I don't want to have a misunderstanding with my boss. Next. So idioms have a fixed meaning. Phrases do not have a fixed meanings. Idioms are units, meaning that they cannot be understood by separating the words. If you get off has a different meaning, on the wrong foot has a separate meaning. So if you have, when you mean get off, she got off the bus. So get off has a different, get off something means when you get down from something, when you unboard something. She got off the plane at 9 o'clock, at 9 p.m. That means she unboarded the plane at 9 p.m. So get off on the wrong foot. So when they're put together, it means something else. So idioms, they cannot be separated. But if you separate them, their meaning changes. Meaning of each word contributes the meaning of the phrase. An idiom can be understood only when one knows the meaning. But whereas a phrase can be easily deduced. Most of the phrases can be easily deduced. That means when you say, get off, you actually can understand, right? She got off the bus, she got off the bike, she got off the bed. So it means just climbing down the bed, climbing down from the motorbike, climbing down from the plane. But getting off on the wrong foot is an idiom. It's difficult to understand the meaning of getting off on the wrong foot. So phrases are more or less easy to understand. Idioms, unless you know the meaning, it's very difficult to understand. So I say you try to get the idiom, meaning of the idiom before you go ahead whenever you're reading something, so that next time when you encounter it, you're able to understand the meaning. Most of the time, when you read the whole sentence, you more or less understand the meaning. So if you encounter it again and again, you probably would have understood the exact meaning. And then probably it's easy to use. Next. So idioms and idiomatic expressions are more precise than literal words, but they use fewer words. So like, it runs in the family. Look, like I told you, take after. What do we mean when we say take after? We said that she takes after her mother. That means she looks like her mother or she acts like her mother. But here, it runs in the family is also an idiom. What does it mean? Means nobody is running in the family. It actually means you have inherited some characteristic genetically because you're in that family. Okay, so she is very hardworking. It runs in the family. Or she's brilliant. It runs in the family. That means, probably her father, grandfather were also brilliant. Or she became a writer. He's a very good singer. You could say that for R.D. Burman. It runs in the family. S.D. Burman was a great music director. His son R.D. Burman. So it runs in the family means something that you inherit from somebody else. So when you say it runs in the family, it is come up from generations in the family. So instead of saying, okay, his father was also a great singer, his mother was also a great singer, was a musician and also, when you say it runs in the family, that means it's something, a characteristic which is genetically passed on to him. Next. So some idioms are very transparent. That is, you know the meaning almost by just reading them. Some idioms are opaque in the sense that it's very hard to tell what they actually mean. Let's get some transparent idioms. Means idioms you probably, without even knowing, having heard them before, you probably can tell the meaning. To hold all the aces. If you're a card player, you can tell this. Or if any time dealt with cards. What is an ace in a deck of cards or in a pack of cards? Ace is the highest card, right? So if in any of the games you play with cards, an ace is supposed to be the highest card in the pack. So when somebody has all the aces, means they have all the advantages, right? More or less easy to understand. When somebody has all the aces, it means he has all the advantages. When somebody has an ace up his sleeve, that means he's keeping a secret advantage to himself. To speak one's mind, transparent. Whatever is in your mind, if you just speak it, it means very straightforward. To lay one's cards on the table, again very straightforward. Cards. When you lay it on the table, what do you mean? That everybody can see them. So he's a person who always lays his cards on the table. That means he's a person who's always very open. He has no secrets. Whatever he knows, he will just give it to the other person or tell it to the other person. So he's not one to keep secrets. So to lay one's cards on the table is to open all your secrets. To stab someone in the back. So even this is also a Telugu idiom also. It's called, sometimes you say, Vennu Potu. What does it mean? Excuse me, stabbing someone in the back. That is when you cheat someone, somebody that's known to you, and then you cheat them, it's called stabbing them in the back. I mean, doing something when they're not aware of it. To miss the boat, easy, right? When you miss a bus or a boat or a ship, it means you've missed something. That means you've missed going somewhere. You missed going. So he was sick during the final exams, so he missed the boats for placements. That means he could not complete his exam, so he could not take part in the placements. So he missed the boat means where you miss doing something at the right time. To pull strings. Who pulls strings? You know, a puppeteer. You know, he has all the strings. When somebody pulling strings, it means he has all, he is doing all the things. He is making things happen. Probably, that's what they say, Sonia Gandhi was the one pulling the strings in the Congress. When the Congress, when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, she was the one to pull all the strings. That means she was doing making all the decisions. So pulled strings is not practically pulling strings, but making all the decisions. To be on cloud nine, over the moon, all these things mean the same. When you're on cloud nine, imagine cloud nine, how high you are. So it actually means being very happy again. So some opaque idioms, some idioms that are a little more difficult to understand. A piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. What does it mean? When somebody says it's a piece of cake, it means it's very easy. If I tell a student that, okay, you have to prepare for this lesson tomorrow. If he says it's a piece of cake, for him it's very easy. Okay? So when a task is very simple, they generally say it's a piece of cake. It's raining cats and dogs. I already explained that. Kill two birds with one stone. I already mentioned that. It says, that is, when you kill two birds with one stone, with just one effort, with one task, you're able to achieve two results. Two good results. So that is killing a bird with one stone. Like if I get first rank in the university, I'm killing a bird with two stones. I'm getting a rank, I'm also making my dad very happy. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. let the cat out of the bag. We already saw that, right? Next. Okay, some idioms about friendship. I know you're all teenagers and you have a lot of friends. Some of the idioms about friendship. Let's see what they are. Like two peas in a pod. What is a pod? Peas in a pod? You know those batani, matar, where all the peas are in one pod, in a casing. So when you say like peas in a pod or two peas in a pod, it means the peas in that pod are similar. They're all stuck together, like they're all the same. So when somebody says two peas in a, you're like two peas in a pod, when two friends are going together, look, two peas in a pod. That means you all have the same characteristics. They're very similar. To be as thick as thieves is, thieves are actually very strong friends because, you know, if one gives way, then the other one also gets caught. So they're very strong friends. So when you say thick as thieves, it means very good friends. To bury the hatchet. When you bury the hatchet, hatchet is something that you kill something with or you cut something with. When you bury it, it means no more, no violence. You're all friends. To clear the air. Whenever there's a confusion, it's better to clear the air by talking than to be misunderstood. So clear the air means to be without any confusion. A shoulder to cry on. Somebody who listens to all your problems. Why are you some friends very good? Because they're always a shoulder to cry on. Because you can take all your problems to them and they will listen. Again, can we go back? Strike up a friendship, to see eye to eye with someone. Friends in high places. When you have friends in high places means, if you say, oh, I know the MLA, I know the SP or something like that. That means you have friends in high places. To build bridges, when? To promote friendly relations. You know, I think India and Pakistan should build bridges. It means not literally build bridges, but be more, have friendly relations with one another. Birds of a feather flock together. That means, have you seen different birds fly together? No, right? Only same type of birds fly together or stay together. So when you say birds of a feather flock together means similar kind of people get together. That's why when we say, you know, whenever you're going to new college or something, you say, try to make friends who are good. Try to be in good company. Why? Because similar people flock together. If you're in good company, you will learn good things. If you're in, if you go and join some, you will also learn. Even if though you're not good, you'll try to learn. Those things will attract you. So birds of a feather flock together. To hit it off is to become very friendly with someone. To get on like a house on fire is to be very, very friendly. Get on very well with someone. To speak the same language is to, not literally, I think though suppose there's a Bengali girl and a Telugu girl and they say, oh, we speak the same language. Does not mean they speak the same language. Literally means they have the same kind of likes and dislikes. So they speak the same language. To get on swimmingly, to get on very well with someone. To know someone inside out, to know someone very well. All these are some idioms on friendship. Next one. What is a proverb? So we've learned what phrases are, we've learned what idioms are. Now let's look at proverbs. Proverbs are also idioms, but they can stand alone in the sense that they have a complete meaning. Like if I say it's raining cats and dogs, you might ask where, when. So yesterday it was raining cats and dogs in Kakinada. So if I say that, then you understand the meaning. Yesterday, where? In Kakinada. But if I say that, don't cry over spilled milk, which is a proverb, you will not say where, why? Because the sentence in itself, the words in itself carry the whole meaning. They tell you a story. That is, do not cry over spilled milk. Once something is done, it's a waste of time to cry over it. So, do not cry over spilled milk actually means that do not waste time over something that's already happened. So, a proverb generally has a complete meaning, like those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Complete meaning is there. Why? Because you would break your own house if you throw stones, right? So, you cannot blame somebody if you also are to blame yourself. Or you cannot actually call somebody names if you are also of a similar characteristic. A stitch in time saves 9. A stitch in time saves 9 stitches. That's what it means. That is, if you mend something when it is very small, it could be a rivalry, it could be a fight, it could be a garment, even literally. If you have a small hole in one of your scarves or your chunnis or something, and you leave it, over time, if you keep on using it, it will become a big tear. And then you'll have your 9 or 20 stitches to mend it. But when you have a small hole, if you mend it, it takes only 1 stitch. Similarly, when you have a small misunderstanding, if you mend it, it becomes easier. But if you let it grow and become bigger, it's very difficult to mend. Probably that's what's happened between India and Pakistan today. Because our differences have grown and grown and grown, and they're becoming so huge that it's very difficult to build bridges now. Next. So, some more English proverbs. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. That means not literally scratch. It means you help me when I need it, I'll help you when you need it. Okay? Actions speak louder than words. So, rather than saying something, it's better to do something. Rome wasn't built in a day. That is, no major thing happens very quickly. So Rome wasn't built in. Rome is a big, supposed to be one of the most beautiful, constructions. So it has beautiful buildings, heritage buildings and all that. But it was not built in a day. That means something so beautiful or so grand cannot happen very quickly. It will take time. So when there's a will, there's a way. That's what I tell all my students. I couldn't do my homework because I was sick or I had to go out. When there's a will, there's a way. Even if you had to go out, you could have done it earlier or later. So if you had the will to do it, you would do it any time. Next. So 2 wrongs don't make a right. Sometimes to revenge, somebody's hurt you. If you hurt them back, it doesn't make it right. So revenge is not a good thing. The pen is mightier than the sword. You must have heard of this. That means it is better to use the pen and change someone rather than using the sword, rather than fighting. And when in Rome, do as the Romans. That means when you're in some place, act like they do. Behave like they do. If you're in America, be an American. And you dress up like one, maybe speak like one. That's what most people do because they want to mingle or gel into that crowd. But when you come back to India, again act like an Indian. Don't act like an American when you come back from there. So act like an Indian again. So when in Rome, be a Roman. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. This is another proverb which lots of speakers say or quote, which says that when things get difficult, people who are strong will do it, will survive, they will accept challenges and work harder. So strong people don't give up when they come across challenges. They just work harder. Next. Next. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Always there's a hidden cost. Remember that. There's no place like home. Home is the best, most comfortable place. These are all actually proverbs which don't need any explanation. By reading them, you always understand what they mean. Discretion is the greater part of valor. That means you should be discreet in the sense that you should know when to give up and when to continue trying. So there are, in businesses also, discretion is a better part of valor. Even in speech, discretion. You should know when to stop talking and when to listen. So you should always, important to know when to give up and run away instead of acting as if you're brave or as if you know everything. You might get hurt. Next. So there are so many more idioms. Next. I think we are running out of time, so we'll go quickly. Next one. So with that, I think we will thank you very much. I'm sure you've understood the difference between a phrase, idiom and a proverb. Proverbs are easy in the sense that when you say that, the meaning is understood. Phrases are fairly easy if you heard them once. Idioms are a little more difficult because they literally don't mean what they say. The words don't mean the exact, the meaning of that word is not the meaning of the idiom. So you have to be a little more careful when you read and try to understand idioms. But with practice, you'll get better, you'll understand them, and you probably can use them. So, shall we call it a day? Let's call it a day. That's an idiom which says, okay, shall we end this right now and say goodbye? Let's call it a day.